सुमतो प्रियतारुणितातुलनीलतनो कमलायतलोचनलोकपते विजयी भव वेङ्कटशैलपते.
Namaste to everyone. In today's discussion, we are going to analyze the poem 5 on Lord Sri Venkateswara's face, comparing with Hani's, and how the Hindu Dharma, that is Sanatana Dharma, is related with the Greek and Egyptian cultures. Here, a detailed analysis has been made and compared with the Greek, Egyptian and Sanatana Dharma, that is Hindu way of worshipping Lord Sri Venkateswara. Since ancient times, honey has been revered as a symbol of purity, immortality and divine nourishment across multiple cultures. From the mythical Ambrosia of the Greek god to the sacred offerings of honey to the sun god Ra in Egypt, this golden elixir has held profound spiritual significance in Sanatana Dharma. Honey finds its place as a sacred substance, especially in the divine offerings made to Lord Sri Venkateswara at Tirumala Temple. The universality of honey as a representation of divine grace, protection and spiritual elevation speaks to a shared human quest for purity, sweetness and eternal connection with the divine. In this narrative, we explore how honey's sacredness in Greek, Egyptian and Hindu, that is Sanatana Dharma traditions, converge beautifully with the divine attributes of Lord Sri Venkateswara, emphasizing the deep spiritual meaning it holds for devotees. In Greece too, the gods did dine on honey's sweetness so divine. Ambrosia flowed, immortal they said, by honey's touch their strength portrayed. Good. This poetic verse elegantly captures the role of honey in Greek mythology, emphasizing its association with the divine and its significance as a symbol of immortality, sustenance and power by referring the Greek gods and their mythological food. Ambrosia, the verse points honey as a sacred substance intertwined with the divine attributes and eternal life. Let us explore the meaning of the verse in detail, breaking down its cultural and mythological influences. Now let us analyze the poem number 5 in detail. The first line of this poem, in Greece too the gods did dine. This line sets the stage by situating honey with the pantheon of Greek mythology. It reveals how honey, like ambrosia and nectar, was revered in ancient Greek cultures as a food fit for gods. The diet of divine. In Greek mythology, ambrosia and nectar were the exclusive food and drink for Olympian gods. Connection between honey and gods. The diet of divine. In Greek mythology, ambrosia and nectar were the exclusive food and drink of the Olympian gods. These substances were believed to confer immortality and divine strength. Honey as ambrosia. Ancient Greeks often equated the sweetness of honey with ambrosia, considering it as a gift from the gods and source of divine nourishment. Symbolism in the act of dining, sacred communion. By associating honey with God's meals, the verse underscores its sacredness, implying the consuming honey brings human closer to divinity. Celebration of nature's gifts. Honey derived from bees and flowers was seen as a manifestation of nature's bounty blessed by the gods themselves. The second line of the poem, on honey's sweetness so divine. This line emphasizes the divine quality of honey not only in its flavor but its symbolic and mythological significance. Honey's divine sweetness. Sweetness as a metaphor for divinity. Honey's natural sweetness made it a symbol of purity, joy, and divine favor in many cultures, including Greece. Spiritual nourishment. Beyond physical substance, honey was thought to nourish the soul and elevate the spirit, aligning humans with higher realms of existence. Association with the gods. In Greek mythology, Zeus, the king of gods, was fed honey by the nymph Melissa during his infancy. This connection further cements honey's status as a divine food. Peristasis and bees. The peristasis of Delphi were called Melessi, meaning bees, symbolizing their role as a conveyors of the divine knowledge, much like bees that gather nectar. The third line of the poem, Ambrosia flowed, immortal they stayed. This line highlights the mythical properties of ambrosia, the food of gods, and its role in granting immortality and divine strength. Honey, often equated with ambrosia, is presented as a source of eternal life. Ambrosia and its properties. Food of the gods. Ambrosia was believed to sustain the gods, keeping them ageless and invisible. It symbolized the divine essence that separated gods from mortals. Connection to honey. While the exact nature of ambrosia is not explicitly defined, ancient texts and interpretations often liken it to honey, given its golden hue and sweet taste. Immortality and divinity, transcending mortality. The gods' consumption of ambrosia reflects their eternal nature, immune to the decay and death that afflict mortals. Honey's role in rituals. In Greek culture, honey was used offerings to the gods, symbolizing a desire to partake in their immortality and favor. Fourth line of the poem, by honey's touch their strength portrayed. This line ties honey to the divine strength and power of the gods, portraying it as a source of vitality and invisibility. Honey and strength, physical and spiritual energy. Honey was revered for its ability to provide immediate energy and sustenance, making it a metaphor for divine strength and resilience. Symbol of vitality. Its golden hue and rich flavor were seen as manifestations of life force and divine vigor. Honey in Greek mythology. Hercules. Honey was associated with strength and heroism, qualities embodied by figures like Hercules, who often depicted consuming divine sustenance. Healing properties. Honey was also used in ancient Greece for its medicinal qualities, symbolizing the god's power to heal and protect. Now let us interpret the poem. Verses. The verse weaves together the cultural, mythological, and symbolic aspects of honey in ancient Greece, portraying it as a sacred substance integral to the divine narrative. Below are some of the deeper interpretations. The divine sustenance and immortality. The connection between honey, ambrosia, and the gods underscores its role as a bridge between mortal and the immortal. By consuming honey, humans symbolically participate in the divine essence, seeking longevity, vitality, and spiritual elevation. Honey's natural purity and sweetness made it a representation of the divine blessings. It was used in religious rituals, offerings, and to ceremonies to invoke the god's favor and protection. Harmony between nature and divine. The mention of honey in the context of Greek mythology highlights the ancient Greeks' reverence for nature as a reflection of the divine. Bees, as creators of honey, were seen as sacred creatures, linking the natural and spiritual world. The power of transformation. Honey's role in mythological reflects the transformative power of divine grace. Just as honey transforms nectar into substance of immense value, the gods transform human lives through their guidance and blessings. Cultural and mythological references for this poem is myth of Zeus and Melissa. Melissa, a nymph, nurtured the infant Jesus with honey, helping him to grow into the king of the gods. This story emphasizes honey's role as a sustainer of life and power. Apollo and the bees. Apollo, the god of prophecy, helping and music, was closely associated with bees and honey. The oracle of Delphi, dedicated to Apollo, used honey as a part of its rituals. Honey as a funeral offering. In ancient Greek funerary practices, honey was used as an offering to the deceased and the gods of the underworld. This practice symbolizes the hope for immortality and a blessed afterlife. Honey in Greek medicine. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, extolled honey's healing properties, further linking it to the gods' protective and nurturing aspects. Honey in Sanatana Dharma, the divine offerings to Lord Venkateswara. In Sanatana Dharma, honey holds a deeper spiritual significance as a part of temple offerings and sacred rituals. At the Tirumala Temple, honey is used in preparing sacred prasadams, offering to Lord and then distributing to devotees as a divine blessing. A sacred example is the preparation of Panchamrita with Abhisheka and Abhishekam performing with honey. A ritual bathing of the deity involves the use of honey along with milk, curd, ghee and sugar, etc. Honey here represents divine sweetness and the nectar for the life. The prasadam offered to devotees carried with the sacred energy of the deity, purifying the heart and mind of those who consume it. Interpretation of the concept of honey with Lord Sri Venkateswara. Honey in the worship of Lord Sri Venkateswara symbolizes the sweetness of divine grace and purity of devotion. Just as honey nourishes and preserves, the Lord's blessings protect and sustain the spiritual growth of his devotees. Consuming prasadam containing honey represents the partaking in the divine's essence, leading to inner healing and spiritual fulfillment. Honey in Greek mythology, nourishment of the gods. In ancient Greece, honey was deeply intertwined with the concept of divine nourishment and immortality. The gods of Olympus were believed to sustain themselves with ambrosia, a mythical substance often compared to honey due to its sweetness and life-preserving properties. A legendary tale tells like this: when the infant Zeus was hidden from his father Cronus, it was the gentle nymph Melissa who nourished him with honey. This divine nectar not only sustained Zeus but also symbolized protection and spiritual growth. Honey was viewed as a gift from the gods, a symbol of the divine favor bestowed upon mortals. Interpretation of the honey's importance. Honey in this context represents the divine strength and nourishment. Much like how Ambrosia conferred immortality, the grace of Lord Sri Venkateswara is believed to protect and spiritually uplift Sri Venkateswara's devotees, offering them divine sustenance in their journey towards moksha, that is, liberation. In ancient Egypt, honey was equally revered as a divine gift associated with purity, royalty, and eternal life. The Egyptians believed that honey was a sacred offering to the sun god Ra, representing the sweetness of divine blessings and the life-giving power of the sun. A ritual offering. Honey was often used in temple rituals and burial rites. Pharaohs were buried with jars of honey, believing its purity would preserve their soul in their afterlife. The bee, a symbol of divine wisdom, was closely associated with the power of honey to protect and nourish life beyond the physical realm. In interpretation, it says the ancient Egyptians saw honey as a metaphor for eternal preservation and divine light. Similarly, Lord Sri Venkateswara's grace, like honey, preserves the soul's spiritual journey, offering devotees a path to liberation and eternal bliss. The offerings of honey in temple rituals signifies purity and desire for divine protection. Now let us analyze the symbolic use of honey across Greek, Egyptian and Sanatana Dharma traditions, which reveals a profound spiritual truth that unite these ancient beliefs. An attempt has been made in comparing the Greek culture, Egyptian culture and Hindu culture, that is in Sanatana Dharma, with the three ancient cultures existing in the world. This comparative analysis From this table, we can draw the inference that Sanatana Dharma is as old as mankind itself. The symbolic parallels between these three cultures shows that divine nourishment, symbol of immortality, purity and blessings, and healing and protection all are originated from Sanatana Dharma. That is why I have in-depth analysis has been made in this poem to inform the devotees the importance of Sanatana Dharma and Sri Venkateswara'S existence since time immemorial. Table clearly shows that a symbolic parallels between the cultures. I have divided three cultures, that is Greek culture, Egyptian culture and Sanatana Dharma, that is Sri Venkateswara. And the aspects compared here are divine nourishment, symbolism of immortality, purity and blessings, and healing protection. Each of these aspects was compared with the Greek culture, Egyptian culture, and Sanatana Dharma of Hinduism. Here you can see that each aspect was compared with Ambrosia of Greek culture and raw and honey with Egyptian culture, Sri Venkateswara and Sanatana Dharma of Hindu culture. You may have a clear understanding by reading this table at your convenient time. The philosophical insights are the consistent presence of honey in divine context across cultures reflects universal spiritual truths. Sweetness and devotion. Honey's sweetness mirrors the joy and bliss that comes from sincere devotion to the divine. Just as honey transforms simpler nectar into a rich golden sustenance, devotion transforms a mortal heart to a vessel of divine grace. Purity and offering. Honey's purity makes it a fitting offering to the divine. In the worship of Lord Sri Venkateswara, the use of honey signifies offering one's purest emotion and faith. Preservation and protection. Honey's natural ability to preserve symbolize divine grace that protects the soul from spiritual decay. Lord Sri Venkateswara's presence offers a protective shield for his devotees. Healing power. Honey's medicinal properties remind us of the healing power of faith and divine intervention both spiritually and physically. Deeper meaning and life lessons for devotees. Sincere devotion brings sweetness to life. Preservation and protection. Honey's ability preserves mirrors the Lord's grace in preserving dharma and righteousness. Spiritual healing. Honey heals wounds just as the divine presence of Lord Sri Venkateswara heals the sorrows of the heart. Offering and humility. Honey, when offered to temples, symbolizes the offering of one's pure heart seeking the divine grace. Before concluding this discussion, let us briefly look into the aspects which we have discussed so far. This verse beautifully encapsulates the multifaceted significance of honey in the ancient Greek mythology and cultures. By associating honey with ambrosia, divine strength and immortality, it highlights its role as a sacred substance that transcends the mundane and touches the divine. The gods' reliance on honey and its mythical properties serves as a reminder of humanity's timeless quest for eternal life, spiritual connection, and divine grace. For the ancient Greek, honey was not just a food but a symbol of life's sweetness, purity, and potential for transcendence. This understanding continues to resonate, making honey a timeless emblem of the sacred and eternal. In Greek, Egyptian, and Sanatana Dharma traditions, honey emerges as a sacred substance that transcends mere physical nourishment. It represents divine favor, immortality, protection, and spiritual elevation. In the worship of Lord Sri Venkateswara, honey plays a similar profound role, symbolizing the sweetness of divine grace, the purity of devotion, and the eternal preservation of the soul's spiritual journey. Just as honey heals and nourishes the body, the Lord's blessings nourish the spirit, guiding devotees towards inner peace, purity, and ultimate liberation. As we partake in honey offered during temple rituals, let it serve as a reminder that divine sweetness is always within reach, waiting to transform and uplift our lives through faith, humility, and sincere devotion. Hope you have enjoyed this discussion. If you like this discussion, you please forward link to your friends, group people, and relatives to know more about Hindu culture and civilization. Thank you very much. Hope we will meet you in other discussion.